law firm. I fleece them you. And that's what a lot of these places do. They take advantage. Anyway, we're going to go to the news, and then we'll be back with our guest tonight. We have a great guest, Christopher Berry. We're going to be talking about his book, Million Eyes, Extra Time. We're going to be talking about time travel. So we'll be back in a flash.
Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
This is Night Dreams Talk Radio Network News, and I'm James Creechbaum. Mysterious jellyfish UFO filmed over Sao Paulo, Brazil. Strange footage from Brazil shows a mysterious unidentified flying object that bears a striking resemblance to a jellyfish. The incident happened on February 16th at around 8:45 a.m. in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The footage, which is less than 2 minutes long, showed a white object flying close to a thin cloud in the sky. Close-up shots of the object revealed that it had a dome-shaped body with a tail-like features hanging from its sides. Remote viewing CIA's attempt to see Mars through psychic technique. A CIA document describes an effort to observe events on Mars through a technique known as remote viewing. The document describes the effort to use psychic abilities to see what was happening 1 million years ago on the surface of the red planet. Now, the document does not name the analyst, but describes the procedure of beginning the session with a sealed envelope that contained the text, "The planet Mars. Time of interest approximately 1 million years BC. A separate set of geographic coordinates are provided by the monitor running the session. We are left to speculate about the meaning of the observation." Strange lights in the sky over Plymouth spark UFO rumors. A Plymouth woman spotted 6 bright lights in the sky and has no idea what they are. Looking ahead, she saw 5 bright lights in the sky before a 6th appeared from nowhere. Emma originally thought the lights were from military helicopters, but when she realized the lights were moving, she changed her mind and suspected they might even be from out of this world. She said the cloudy weather made it hard to distinguish what the lights were and if they were coming from and if they were coming at her. Here's a person who experienced a little time slip. I was getting groceries with this girl, and we left in different cars. I pulled out and left before she had shut the trunk and got in. I drove fast most of the way home, but took a different route, just one street over, and it had no lights. Somehow she was at my house unloading with her kid out, and I was blown away. I didn't stop but 3 or so times to turn, and she drove at the main street with 5 stoplights. I have never known her to drive fast or as fast as I was driving. She would have had to have been going 100 miles an hour down the street, not hitting lights, to catch me, and it wasn't important enough for her to risk her child's health. It made my blood run cold when she looked at me. Here's another little quick case. It was on my dinner hour, and I walked through a busy town. As I lifted my leg up, everything froze, including the people. It went completely silent. Then my foot hit the ground, almost like I had jumped off a step. It was like I had gone through a doorway, and everything was back to normal. I can remember wondering if I had died or something for the 2 seconds or so when I was frozen. Whatever it was such a weird experience. I remember it clearly. Also in the news, if you have a news story and you want to share it on Night Dreams Talk Radio, contact us at James Night Dreams Talk Radio News, gmail.com.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. Tonight, our subject is going to be, well, time travel. We're waiting for our guest, Christopher, to call in. Well, James, I'm kind of excited. I hope you jump in here tonight and we, well, have a good discussion about time travel.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm always fascinated by that time travel. And I've come across a lot of weird stories, especially out of the UK, matter of fact.
Oh, yeah. You cut the news a minute soon than you should have. I was in the middle of eating a chicken wing. They brought me dinner, and I go, I got 5 minutes to eat it. And I look at the clock, and there's a minute and a half to go, and you wrapped up the news, and I'm going, oh. And, that's why I played that music, where I could get swallow the food and be able to talk.
Yeah, I had a little glitch here, and I don't know what's going on, but it like
time travel
stopped. Everything, I'll tell you what, whenever I started telling that story about the guy frozen, everything in here froze. I was like, what's going on? I couldn't get to my news anymore.
Well, what can I say? But we made it through.
Yeah, we made it work, but that was amazing. I was like, I can't get to my rest of my stories. What's going on here?
Well, all you have to do is talk about the economy. That'll make a big story. We did plenty of that tonight. A big shout out to Barb. She figured out how to get on to chat here again. And I'm curious, Barb, if you could just kind of reply. How hard, do you ever have problems getting on the chat? I have so many people say they don't even bother getting onto it. They listen to the show, they just don't get onto it. Of course, they just don't listen to it off of this one. I don't even know where you tune in. Are you using speaker, Barb, to catch us? You can also catch us on our website. You can ask, there's a whole bunch of places you can listen to us.
Yeah, there is. Matter of fact, I think you've got it listed in the website as well, different options to tune in.
Well, I tell you one thing. She lives just down the road from you. You guys should be hitting that local radio station and saying, hey, why aren't you playing what, James? Night Dreams Talk Radio.
That Night Dreams Talk Radio, that's right. Matter of fact, me and a whole bunch of my friends here have talked to them, and we've kind of spaced it out. Maybe we need to send them another message tomorrow, actually. Actually, I had a little rough time getting on that app tonight myself.
I always have a hard time, and I'm the one that uses it to, to be able to, get onto some of these other apps. But, I mean, there's sometimes it just kicks me right out of it, and I can see people getting frustrated and not being able to do it. I'm trying to figure out where our guest is. He was supposed to call in a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know him, so I can't message him or nothing. So I'm not familiar with.
Well, he's out of the UK, and I know he's using Skype. Hopefully, he has Skype where he can talk out of the country.
Yeah, because it's like 3 a.m. there.
I know. Well, if we don't hear from him here in the next few minutes, what I will do is put a replay on at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You want me? I got some time slip stories I could probably go into.
Well, why don't you tell a couple?
Okay, let me pull one up here real quick. Okay, here's one right here. This is a mystery of a time travel and a time slip. The only evidence that the past is still out there or that the future already exists is so far anecdotal. There have been numerous reports of the phenomenon known as a time slip. Now, this is where you are walking down the street and suddenly, for a few moments at least, you are walking in another time, say 1955, for example, before quickly returning to the present. Now, when this makes no sense, it does lend to a possible new explanation to a lot of ghost sightings. It might also offer a new line of inquiry for the many thousands of inexplicable disappearances that happen each year worldwide. If time were to slip forward or back by very short periods or just a few moments, it might make you have the sense of a deja vu experience, which we are nearly all familiar with. Apparently, the center of Liverpool is a good place for this to happen, though nobody knows why. Now, there have been reports of similar occurrences dating back many hundreds of years. There are more numerous now, but then they would be, given that there are more people in more densely populated areas who are better able to communicate than ever before. And something about the UK part there, near Bold Street, there's all kinds of reports going on there. Here's another one. Speaking of Bold Street, when the couple arrived on Bold Street, they went their separate ways. Frank headed to the music store on, I think it's called Ranelagh Street, to purchase a new release, while Carol went to Dillon's, a bookstore. Frank found the music he wanted and went to Dillon's, where the couple had agreed to meet. Then something unexplainable occurred. As Frank neared Dillon's, everything seemed to look strange. The Dillon store had the name Cripps on the front of the building, and that was not all. As Frank looked around and seemed to be in another time, the people walking the street were dressed oddly, appearing to be from the 1950s or the 60s, as did all the cars. Now, as Frank looked at the Cripps building, he saw a young woman standing at the front of the store looking in the window. She stood out because she was dressed in modern clothing, as if she and Frank were from the same time. Frank's mind then switched to his wife, Carol, who had gone to the store. As Frank, followed by the young woman, entered the front door of Cripps, everything changed, and then they were obviously in Dillon's bookstore. Frank looked to the young woman and asked, "Did you see that?" The woman replied yes, and added that from what she saw in the store's display windows, she thought it was a new woman's wear store. Frank soon met up with Carol, and I'm sure had a strange tale to tell her. Inside Dillon's, Carol had experienced nothing unusual at all. We never heard any reasonable explanation for what Frank and the unknown young woman experienced. They are all, however, certainly not alone in reporting a time slip, even on Bold Street or Liverpool in general, as the location seems to be a hotspot for this phenomenon. I don't know what it is about that area, but there has been several reports of things like that going on.
So interesting. I guess our guest cannot make the phone call. He uses Skype out of UK, and evidently it's not letting him call the United States, so he must not have the plan for international.
Yeah. It's too bad. He must not have a regular phone or cell phone, I guess.
Well, again, you know how expensive it would be calling on a cell phone international?
I don't, because I don't think I've ever called anybody international. That's a good point.
Yeah, it would be rather expensive, but again, we'll give it a few minutes. If he can't get through, then I'm going to wrap up the show here tonight at 7:30 and put a replay in to, because we can't go without a guest.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard for 3 hours or 2 hours, I guess. Here's another story. This one don't have to do with time travel. I was just curious if we heard the story about the woman who, she thought she was working at the docks there in Boston. And during her lunch hour, there'd be stray dogs and cats or whatever. And one of them would come by and she would feed it, every day. And it got cold out and she felt bad for it. So she took the dog home. She thought it would freeze or something. Well, over time, and I'm looking at the story right here, even a picture of it, she was getting concerned. Well, she had a cat. She was out barbecuing some meat, on the grill, and the dog, it's just a little dog, was standing up on his two legs with his paws up